Alrighty guys, we have had our guineas for about 3.5 months now. They'll be 14 weeks in a few days. We bought 8 of them as day-old hatchlings and raised them with 6 golden comet chicks and 4 buff Brahmas. Now, 3.5 months does not make me an expert in any way. However, I wanted to touch on a few things based off my experience so far. Like any responsible person, I did my research before getting guineas, and there were a few things I read about compared to what I've experienced so far. Now, of course, our guineas are still young and could change, but so far they've been pretty consistent. Number one is that guineas are obnoxiously loud. Yes, they certainly can be, but I heard this said so many times that I honestly thought it would be a constant noise that I'd just have to get used to. But so far, for most minutes of the day, they're pretty quiet, about as quiet as my chickens are. They do have an alarm call and will sound off at anything they deem necessary, but for the most part, once they get used to something or someone, they don't fuss about it. Number two is that guineas aren't friendly. They're not like chickens, they aren't fully domesticated, they're basically wild animals that might hang around. So far, that hasn't been my experience at all. Now, of course, they're not as warm and cuddly as a dog will be, but along with my younger chickens that they were raised with, my guineas will make a point to come see me every time they notice I'm outside. Now, I know, they're probably just checking to see if I have any food, but still, they're definitely interested. And while they are spooked a little bit more easily than chickens, they don't make a point to run away anytime any of the kids are playing outside either. I think raising them alongside other chickens, especially my buff Brahmas, which are known to be a friendlier breed, has really helped them adopt some more chicken-like tendencies. Of course, they're still guineas and they still do their own guinea things, but I think being around chickens that aren't as afraid of people has helped them kind of chill out around people a bit. And lastly, number 3 is that guineas will not go to the coop at night by themselves. Again, this hasn't really been my experience so far. Maybe that'll change as they get older, but for now, they put themselves to bed every night. I do believe that, once again, raising them with chickens who are more naturally inclined to go into the coop at night has helped this. I also think it helped that I kept them in first their brooder box and then our barn for the first 3 months. As you can see, they sometimes get a little lost along the way, but they do eventually find themselves back in the coop alongside our chickens every single night. I think as long as there's enough perch space available, they'll be fine. They do tend to cluster amongst themselves, the other guineas and the chickens they're more familiar with, whereas my older chickens are kind of off by themselves in the corner, but they're there.